Yes, it would be an honor to have Shashwin Prabhu.
Shashwin, are you able to do the Mangla? Are you able to do the Manglacharan if you unmute?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Utapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sakrajadam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Satvedam Swavadodam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishyakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Kopisha Kopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namoshrute Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanushrute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanjakalpatarubhyascha Kirpa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shashwin Prabhu. Wonderfully said. Could we also say Srila Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra? Do you know that? Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, Prabhu, should we move on to the verse? Should I start off with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, or would you like to do that?
I would like.
Shashwin, would you like to read the text?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
Hare
So
Krishna.
you say, then you say Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam, and then read the shloka. Yeah. Prabhuji, just for a reference, after the Manglacharan, should we every time do Srila Prabhupada's mantra?
I always incorporate into my Mangala Charan Srila Prabhupada's mantra, a pranam mantra. The reason for that is that we follow Prabhupada's Mangala Charan, but obviously Srila Prabhupada wouldn't glorify himself. But as his disciples, and with Prabhupada as our, how do you say, Udarika Acharya, Samstapik Acharya, we should always have Prabhupada Pranam mantra before we begin, in my humble opinion.
Noted, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yeah, from tomorrow we will do that. Shashwin knows the Pranam mantra, and we all know the Pranam mantra, so we should do it. Hare Krishna, thank you for the guidance. Okay, thank you very much, Prabhuji, for joining in today and giving your precious time. You are always on time, and we really appreciate that. So please accept our humble obeisances on behalf of everybody who have joined the group and are about to join. Prabhuji, we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 2 now. And it is the physician. Today's text 7. Bhagavate Vasudevaya, then Narayana Namaskrityam as well. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Perfect. So should I lost you there, Mataji. Should I bring us into the class? I'll bring us into the class then. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chevam Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shlokir Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 1st chapter, 11th verse. This canto is obviously entitled The Cosmic Manifestation, and this chapter is entitled The First Step in God Realization. Shashwin Prabhu, would you like to read the Sanskrit? No problem. I will begin with the Sanskrit then. Etan nirvidyamananam echatam akkuto bhayam yoginam nripa nirinnitam harer nama nukirtanam. O King, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of the great authorities is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires, those who are desirous of all material enjoyment, and those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. I'll read that again. O King, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of the great authorities is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires, those who are desirous of all material enjoyment, and also those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. So Srila Vyasadeva or Shukadev Goswami is now mentioning 3 different categories. Those who are free from material desires, those who are after material enjoyment, right? So the opposite, and those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. So purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Abhay Charanarvindam Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In the previous verse, the great necessity for attaining attachment to Mukunda has been accredited. There are different types of persons who desire to attain success in different varieties of pursuits. Generally, the persons are materialists who desire to enjoy the fullest extent of material gratification. Next to them are transcendentalists who have attained perfect knowledge about the nature of material enjoyment and thus are aloof from such illusory way of life. More or less, they are satisfied in themselves by self-realization. So what Srila Prabhupada is talking about here is generally people who have achieved some impersonal sense of realization. Mayavadis and followers of many of the world's religion, they realize the futility or they regulate their engagement in the material world. And they are happy to be in this kind of pious and aloof category. Above them are the devotees of the Lord, who neither aspire to enjoy the material world nor desire to get out of it. They are after the satisfaction of the Lord Sri Krishna. In other words, the devotees of the Lord do not want anything on their personal account. If the Lord desires, the devotees can accept all sorts of material facilities. And if the Lord does not desire this, the devotees can leave aside all sorts of facilities, even up to the limit of salvation. Nor are they self-satisfied because they want the satisfaction of the Lord only. So this is a very interesting part of the purport. We see that the devotees of the Lord, those who actually understand Krishna in truth, not just those who have some idea of a supreme force or being, but those who are fully devoted to exclusively to the enjoyment of the Supreme Lord. They can accept all facilities. They can also reject, or not reject, but be satisfied if they don't have those facilities. And they don't have any personal ambition. So this is what the actual term for this, which is given in the Bhagavad Gita, is there's Sakam Karma Yoga, and then there's Nishkam Karma Yoga. So this is at least at the level of Nishkam, where there isn't, Kam means desire. Nishkam means without any desire for enjoyment. They simply want to engage in the service of the Supreme Lord. So that level of Nishkam, there is no personal sense of enjoyment in there. However, despite that, they are not satisfied. Why? Because even though they don't have desires for themselves, they are still ambitious. They are still driven to please the Supreme Lord. They are still active. Many yogis, many transcendentalists, they can go off to a remote place and they are not searching after shelter. They are not searching after food. They are not searching after water. I went to the Char Dham Yatra last year, to the highest peaks of the Himalayas, Yamunotri, Gangotri, Kedarnath, and Badrinath, deep into the Himalayas. And there you will find many yogis. And these are not bhogi yogis. They are sincere. They have a very austere life. All that they have is what they can carry on their back and maybe a small satchel, no permanent dwelling. And they are totally satisfied. In one sense, apparently they've voluntarily accepted this life. And the real yogis, they don't even beg. They won't sit there going after Bhiksha Dehi. Whatever comes to them, they will accept. Sometimes they will fast for many days. And yet it seems that they have ostensibly achieved a level of satisfaction higher than the devotee. No, it is not higher. The devotee is restless. They are proud to be restless, but they are not restless to search after material enjoyment. They are restless to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this verse, Sri Shukadev Goswami recommends the transcendental chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By offenseless chanting and hearing of the holy name of the Lord, one becomes acquainted with the transcendental form of the Lord, and then with the attributes of the Lord, and then with the transcendental nature of his pastimes, etc. So his name, Nam, his attributes, Guna, and the transcendental nature of his pastimes, Lila. So Guna, Rupa, Nam, often we hear about this, and then Lila. These are the things which come from being attached to the Lord's holy name. Here it is mentioned that one should constantly chant the holy name of the Lord after hearing it from authorities. Why do we have Nam Diksha? Why is it that an authority will give us that mantra? We have Srila Prabhupada, ultimately, who is giving us that mantra. And they will chant on beads. And that is not just it's a symbol, but it is also a transcendental conveyance of this mantra from the Supreme Lord via the Guru Parampara into the core of our heart. That's hearing it from authorities. This means that hearing from the authorities is the first essential. Hearing of the holy name gradually promotes one to the stage of hearing about the Lord's form, his attributes, his pastimes, and so on. And thus the necessity of chanting of his glories develops successively. This process is recommended not only for the successful execution of devotional service, but also even for those who are materially attached. According to Sri Shukadev Goswami, this way of attaining success is an established fact, concluded not only by him, but also all other previous acharyas. Therefore, there is no need of further evidence. The process is recommended not only for the progressive students in the different departments of ideological success, but also for those who are already successful in their achievements as fruitive workers, as philosophers, or as devotees of the Lord. So this is interesting. We see that actually in the purport, it mentions those who are free from material desires, i.e. impersonal, those who are desirous of material enjoyment. So we have jnanis, and then we have the karmis, but also those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. We have karma kand, jnana kand, and upasana kand. These are the three broad level of yogis, those who are desirous of some material result, those who don't desire something material but desire knowledge of some higher understanding, and those ultimately who desire success in serving the Lord to the Lord's full satisfaction. These are the three classifications of yogis: karma yogis, jnana yogis, and the upasana yogis, bhakti yogis. So Srila Prabhupada is saying here that the name can elevate, but we should understand that while the name can elevate the karma yoga to the jnana yoga to the upasana yoga, even for those who are situated in bhakti, the name is still giving so much. The name is actually the source of all success. And Shukadev Goswami was even saying in previous verses that he was fully realized. In fact, Shukadev Goswami was in the womb of his mother until his teenage years. He had this understanding that the material enjoyment is a futile pursuit. He had Brahman realization. And yet still, the chanting of the holy name became so attractive to him. So we shouldn't think that the name is just there to elevate us to a higher platform. Yes, undoubtedly it will do it. It will do that. It will give us success in all forms. But not only is the name the beginning, right? It's the sambandha, it is the beginning. It's also the means, it's the abhidheya, but it's also the prayojana. It is the conclusion. We chant so that we can chant, so that we can chant even more. It is the beginning, it's the middle, it's the end, and it's everything in between. And we'll get into why that is. So we can see here that Srila Prabhupada concludes this purport that this process of chanting the holy name is for those who are fruitive, the karmis, for the philosophers, the jnanis, and for the devotees of the Lord. Srila Jiva Goswami instructs that chanting of the holy name of the Lord should be loudly done, and it should be performed offenselessly as well, as recommended in the Padma Purana. I mean, this purport is actually, if you just know this purport, you can understand the full philosophy that Srila Prabhupada was given. This is really the essence of the full philosophy. It's very important purport. I hope not too many devotees are away on Garba. I know it's that time of year that everyone is, even people who are not here should be given this purport. This is such an important purport of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Jiva Goswami instructs that chanting of the holy name of the Lord should be loudly done, and it should be performed offenselessly as well, as recommended in the Padma Purana. One can deliver himself from the effects of all sins by surrendering himself unto the Lord. One can deliver himself from all offenses at the feet of the Lord by taking shelter of his holy name. But one cannot protect himself if he commits an offense at the feet of the holy name of the Lord. Such offenses are mentioned in the Padma Purana as being 10 in number. So do we all know? I hope we all know the 10 offenses against the chanting of the holy name. My Gurudev Sri Srimad Bhakti Charaswami would often, in a group of people, at the time of initiation, people are sitting there shaven-headed, ready and eager, and he would point to somebody and say, tell me what the 4th offense, tell me what the 6th offense is, tell me what the 9th offense is. And there have been instances where people couldn't say the offense and you said, you are not getting initiated today. So important are these 10 offenses against the holy name. You're not getting initiated. You have to understand these 10 offenses. And actually, this is not to be cruel. This is being firm to be, this is called tough love, cruel to be kind. Because these, after the Vaishnava offenses, which is known as the Mahahati offense, the great elephant that will come in and bulldoze your devotional life, offenses against the holy name are the next category beneath that, because the name is our lifeline. The name is our most treasured gift. So these 10 offenses must be carefully guarded against. And that's why in all ISKCON centers around the world, either in Sanskrit or Hindi or in English or whatever language, before japa period, we will go through these 10 offenses, which are 10 in number. In the interest, we'll read through in the interest of time. We'll quickly read through. I'm sure everyone's familiar with them, but we will see how Srila Prabhupada elaborates on these offenses. The first offense is to vilify the great devotees who have preached about the glories of the Lord. So we know that, to commit offenses to the devotees. The second offense is to see the holy names of the Lord in terms of worldly distinction. So the first offense is to commit sinful activities against the devotees who have dedicated their lives to propagation of the holy names of the Lord. Two, consider the names of the Lord to be equal to or independent of the names of Lord. See that? Hold on. Interesting. So Srila Prabhupada has described this in a different way in this part. The Lord is the proprietor of all the universes, and therefore he may be known in different places by different names, but that does not in any way qualify the fullness of the Lord. Any nomenclature which is meant for the Supreme Lord is as holy as the others, because they are all meant for the Lord. Such holy names are as powerful as the Lord, and there is no bar for anyone in any part of creation to chant and glorify the Lord by the particular name of the Lord as it is locally understood. They are all auspicious, and one should not distinguish such names of the Lord as material commodities. This is very interesting. We often say to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the names of Lord Vishnu. But what Srila Prabhupada is now saying, which is the flip of that, while some names will not be considered the same as the Lord, there are also unlimited names which will be considered as good as the holy name of the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada has explained this in an alternative way. This is something which is a revelation. Srila Prabhupada is saying that even in a local culture, if the Lord, and actually in Science of Self-Realization, Srila Prabhupada mentions the name Jehovah and many other names, Jah, that Christos, and Srila Prabhupada talks in Science of Self-Realization how the word Greek Christos, from which we have Jesus Christ, actually has a Sanskrit derivation from Krishna. Krishna, Christos, Christos, Christ. So these names, while they may seem apparently different, because they are referring to the Supreme Being, the Ishvara Paramam Krishna, that who has no second, they are still to be revered. But equally, names which are not referring to that which does not have to that individual or that personality who has no equal, i.e. a deva, that is not to be revered. The third offense is to neglect the orders of the authorized acharyas or spiritual masters. Yes. The fourth offense is to vilify scriptures or Vedic knowledge. Yes. The fifth offense is to define the holy name of the Lord in terms of one's mundane calculation. The holy name of the Lord is identical with the Lord himself, and one should not understand the holy name of the Lord to be non-different from him. So this fifth offense, we say, it's to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. We can't limit. It is unlimited, just like the Lord himself. The sixth offense is to interpret the holy name. The Lord the fifth offense is to consider the glories of the holy name to be as imagination. The sixth offense is to give the interpretation. The Lord is not imaginary, nor is his holy name. There are persons with a poor fund of knowledge who think the Lord to be an imagination of the worshipper and therefore think his holy name to be imaginary. Such a chanter of the name of the Lord cannot achieve the desired success in the matter of chanting the holy name. The seventh offense is to commit intentionally offense on the strength of the holy name. So this is, Srila Prabhupada mentions this in Nectar of Instruction, Prayaskita. In some traditions, people can commit all sorts of offense. They'll then repent to a priest or a vicar, and then everything they consider exonerated. So they spend the next 6 days accumulating offenses, and then trying to become exonerated with some kind of repentance. Real repentance does not just say, I'm sorry. Real repentance means to uproot that tendency to commit sin, uprooting it. Simply sinning and then trying to have a token catch-all, that is not the mood of someone who is sincerely trying to seek out the Supreme Lord. So we should be very sincere that when we approach the name of Lord Krishna, who is non-different from Krishna himself, that we say we have shortcomings, but we are genuinely making all endeavors to cease and desist from this attachment to the material world, and we simply wish to become attached to your lotus feet. So Srila Prabhupada says, one who takes advantage of this transcendental method and continues to commit sins on the expectation of neutralizing the effects of sins by chanting the holy names of the Lord is the greatest offender at the feet of the holy name. Such an offender cannot purify himself by any recommended method of purification. In other words, one may be a sinful man before chanting the holy name of the Lord, but after taking shelter in the holy name of the Lord and becoming immune, one should strictly restrain oneself from committing sinful acts with the hope that his method of chanting the holy name will give him protection. So again, what does strict mean? Srila Prabhupada once sent, a devotee said, Srila Prabhupada, there's so much temptation. You know, how can we maintain our vows? And Srila Prabhupada said, a gentleman, once he gives his word, he never deviates from his word. But then Srila Prabhupada, how can we become determined to become a gentleman? What does that mean to be determined? And Srila Prabhupada was sitting and he said, when one becomes a devotee, he must stick to his vows and be determined like this. And Srila Prabhupada brought his hand down and his whole body started to tremble. He must become determined like this. And his whole hand and body began to tremble. So this offense, of course, Maya is more powerful than the Jiva. But Maya, our determination should be such that the Lord will specifically come to empower our sincerity. The eighth offense is to consider the holy name of the Lord and his chanting method to be equal to some material auspicious activity. There are various kinds of good works for material benefits, but the holy name and his chanting are not mere auspicious holy services. Undoubtedly, the holy name is holy service, but he should never be utilized for such purposes. Oh, Krishna, I really want this nice new pair of trainers. I want a new Mercedes. Hand in the bead bag. No, these are a meager byproduct. Actually, and we'll get onto this, the purpose of chanting Hare Krishna will, the conclusion, the prayojana, the outcome of chanting Hare Krishna eclipses any material enjoyment we could imagine. The greatest fame, the greatest wealth, the greatest learning and ability, you know, the greatest, and even the greatest renunciation. You can renounce even renunciation. It is the one activity which will eclipse all other. The ninth offense is to instruct those who are not interested in the chanting of the holy name, the holy name of the Lord, about the transcendental nature of the holy name. If such instruction is imparted to an unwilling audience, the act is considered to be an offense at the feet of the holy name. Now, this offense has been one which has caused doubt and confusion amongst devotees all over. You say, well, we go in Harinam. We give the name of the Lord to everyone. But we should understand that this is the one offense that we are allowed to commit. Why? Because if we are giving it in a way where we are genuinely trying to uplift that person, that is even more pleasing to the Lord than the offense of people scorning. You can make this one offense, the 9th offense. You go to every corner of this planet, whether they are happy or whether they are sad, and you give the holy name of Krishna. Because that was the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That was the mood of Srila Prabhupada. And by doing that, yes, there will be technically some offense will be there if people are an unwilling audience. But the devotee is even willing to go to hell to try and preach. And that is the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is the mood of Srimati Radharani. The 10th offense is to become uninterested in the holy name of the Lord, even after hearing of the transcendental nature of the holy name. The effect of chanting the holy name of the Lord is perceived by the chanter as liberation from the conception of false egoism. False egoism is exhibited by thinking oneself to be the enjoyer of the world and thinking everything in the world to be meant for the enjoyment of oneself only. The whole materialistic world is moving under such false egoism of I and mine, but the factual effect of chanting the holy name is to become free from such misconceptions. So this is to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. And then there's actually an 11th offense. And in fact, Rupa Goswami never really pointed it out because actually the Goswamis were so absorbed and elevated, they couldn't even conceive of this one. And this is to be inattentive whilst chanting the holy names of the Lord. Often we consider the chanting of the holy name to be impairing our texting ability. We put our hand in our bead bag and we think, as soon as I can get these rounds done, I won't be able to text with one finger, I'll be able to text with all 5. But no, we should be fully attentive. There should be no other activity. Sometimes we have the one finger on the steering wheel. I've seen it, Sankirtan devotees, one finger on the steering wheel, other one on the gear stick. So we're chanting, but we're doing many other things at the same time. No, we should never be inattentive. And anyway, we'll get into this in more detail when we speak about other elements to do with the holy name. But these 10 plus 1 offenses are the bedrock of proper chanting and should be actually recited. Srila Prabhupada expected his disciples and followers to, before their japa in the morning, to recite them. So I'd humbly implore all of you to recite these before you start your japa in the morning. So again, quickly, 10 topics of the Srimad Bhagavata. Sri Shuka Uvacha, Atra Sargo Visargascha, Stanam Poshanam Uttaya, Manvantaresh Anukkatha, Nirodho Muktir Ashrayaha. So this chapter is called First Step in God Realization. And this canto is called the Cosmic Manifestation. So you would think that we are talking about creation and secondary creation, which is Sarga and Visarga. But actually this specific verse is talking about the Ashraya, which Srila Prabhupada calls the Samambona. This is the topmost achievement. The chanting of the holy name is something which cannot be overestimated. It cannot be overestimated. It is the pinnacle. Why? Why is it the pinnacle? Jiva Goswami, Krama Sandarbha, which is his commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam, he says that the Ashraya, the Samambona, is the topmost good. So why is it the topmost good? Well, we know that it is the Yuga Dharma. Haryanama, Haryanama, Haryanam eva kevalam, kalo nasteva, nasteva, nasteva gatiranyata. The Brihan Naradya Puran. Brihan Naradya Puran gives this verse. Many devotees should know this. Haryanama, Haryanama, Haryanama. The holy name, the holy name, the holy name of Krishna. Harinam, Harinam, Harinam. Harinam eva kevalam, eva kevalam. Kalo nasteva, nasteva, nasteva gatiranyata. In Kaler, this is the only way, the only way, the only way to achieve spiritual success in the age of Kali. So there are 4 yugas within one Chatur Yuga. And we are in the Kali Yuga, which is considered the most degraded. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, so the fact that the chanting of the holy name is the Yuga Dharma, it is the only method for spiritual upliftment. That could explain why Jiva Goswami is talking about the holy name as the Ashraya, as the Samam Bonam. But there's more to it than even that. Kaler dosho nidher, Raja nasti he eko mahan guna, Kirtanat eva Krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet, Krite yad dhyayato Vishnu mriteyam, Yajato makhe dvapare paricharayana ma kalo tadhari kirtanat. Kalo tadhari kirtanat. So what this verse, these two verses actually from Srimad Bhagavatam are saying, which is in the 12th canto, is the most important factor in this age of Kali, which is an ocean of faults, is that one can be free from all contamination and become eligible to enter into kingdom of God, into Krishna Loka, into Vaikuntha, simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. The self-realization that was achieved in Satya Yuga through meditation. So in Satya, they would meditate for hundreds and thousands of years. In the Treta Yuga, by the performance of different yagyas, long yagyas, again, hundreds and hundreds of years. In the Dwarpa Yuga, by the Archana Vigraha, we also worship the deities and we also have yagya, but we should understand that the way they were worshipping the deity in Dwarpa Yuga, no plastic trinkets, no polyester. We're talking the finest silks, gems, jewels, hundreds and hundreds of preparations. So all of these things, yagyas, which go on for many, many hundreds of years, going off to the mountaintops like Sutapa and Prishni and meditating on the Lord for hundreds and thousands of years. All of these benefits can be achieved in Kali Yuga simply by chanting the holy names Hare Krishna. Simply by chanting the names of Hare Krishna. So again, the Bhagavatam is reconfirming what we've read in this verse, that even for those who are full of transcendental knowledge, by chanting the holy name of Krishna, we are getting unlimited kind of benefit. But it is beyond even being a dharma. Chanting the Hare Krishna, Shukadev Goswami is saying he's already impersonally liberated. And he's still recommending the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Why? Why? Because the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the activity that is done by the devotees who are dearest to the Lord. Shukadev Goswami later on in the 10th canto, he'll say, Nenam virincho na bhavo na shirir apyanga sansraya prasadam lebhire gopi yattat prapa vimuktidat. The Supreme Lord, who can award liberation to anyone, showed more mercy to the gopis than to Lord Brahma, to Lord Shiva, or even goddess of fortune, Lakshmi. Even than Lakshmi. Why? Lakshmi is the wife of Narayan. He's the eternal consort of Narayan. And the Lord is giving more mercy to the gopis. Why? Nayam Shriyo Nanga Nitarate Prashadha Swar Yoshitam Nalina Gandharucham Kotonya Rasot Savesya Bhuja Danda Grihita Kantam Labidha Shisham Ya Vagada Vraja Valabhanam. The gopis received benediction from the Lord that neither Lakshmi Devi nor the most beautiful dancers in the heavenly planets could attain. In the Rasa dance, the Lord showed his favor to the most fortunate gopis by placing his arms on their shoulders and dancing with each of them individually. No one can compare with the gopis who received that causeless mercy of the Lord. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said, no one can receive the real favor of the Supreme Personality of the Lord without following in the footsteps of the gopis. So, my dear friends who are here today, this is how we can really understand the importance of chanting the holy name of the Lord. It is Navratri, it is the 9 days that we dedicate to Durga. but all across India and especially in Gujarat, everyone will be dancing in the Dandiya Ras. Why is that? Why will they be dancing in circles? Where have we seen any pastime of Durga dancing in circles, singing and dancing? We haven't. It's because the end of Navratri comes, Sharad Purnima. Sharad Purnima is the night, the full moon night, when the gopis did what? They danced, they chanted, they sang, and they played instruments for the Lord's pleasure. And in so doing, they achieved something which is not possible from the sages of Dandakaranya, who spent thousands of years wanting to see the Lord, Lord Ram. They met Lord Ram. They said, we want to become close to you. We've meditated with you. He said, you can't. You can't do that. You can't do that here. You can please, you can come back again in my Krishna Lila and you can please me again, and then you will be able to achieve the top. So the point of this is that chanting and dancing for the Lord's pleasure is what the most favored devotees of the Lord engage in constantly. And the confirmation of that is when Srimati Radharani comes to this world to teach us how to, the highest method of serving the Lord. What does she do? She comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and she comes to give the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, Golokera Prema Dana Harinam Sankirtana. That actually the highest, the Golokera Prema Dana, the wealth of Goloka has come as this Harinam Sankirtan movement. Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddha Nitya Mukto Pinatvam Nama Namino. The holy name of Krishna is transcendently blissful. It bestows all spiritual benedictions, for it is Krishna himself, the reservoir of all pleasure. Krishna's name is complete, and it is the form of all transcendental mellows. It is not a material name under any condition. It is no less powerful than Krishna himself. Since Krishna's name is not contaminated by material qualities, there is no question of its being involved with Maya. Krishna's name is always liberated and spiritual. It is never conditioned by the laws of material nature. This is because the name of Krishna and Krishna himself are identical. This is from Madhya Lila. I forget which chapter, but I'm pretty sure it's text 133 from one of the chapters in Madhya Lila, which reaffirms that the name of Krishna is non-different from Krishna himself. So we understand now, we're coming close to Sharad Purnima. Shukadev Goswami will state and restate that the closest devotees, the devotees who are most pleasing to the Lord, are the gopis. They are more pleasing to the Lord even than Brahma, even than Shiva, even than Lakshmi Devi, his own wife. Why? Because their love for him is a hoitiki apritihata. It is uninterrupted. It is unmotivated. It is devoid of any tinge of formality or in reverence. Lakshmi Devi, she wants to go and enter into the pastimes of Sharad Purnima, but she's not allowed to. Why? Because she cannot give up her position of being the queen of Vaikuntha. She cannot just become an ordinary girl. She cannot dance with the man in the night with so many other people, but the gopis are willing to even go against social conventions. Even if people talk ill of the gopis, they don't care. There's a pasa which many of you have heard. The Narad wants to find out who is the greatest devotee. And so he goes to Brahma and he says, I need the dust of your feet. The Lord has a headache. If you put that on his head, he will become relieved. Brahma says, I'm not going to put my dust on the Lord's head. Goes to Lord Shiva, he asks the same question. Lord Shiva says, please, I don't want to go to hell. Narad goes to the gopis and they say, we're ready to go to hell if it will even give the Lord 1 ounce of relief. Na parayeham. Krishna says, na parayeham. For that kind of love, that kind of selfless love, I can never repay you. Na parayeham. So we want to follow in the footsteps of the gopis. We've been instructed by Srila Prabhupada. We are following in the footsteps of the gopis. And the gopis, headed by Srimati Radharani, in fact, the gopis are following Krishna. Krishna is following Srimati Radharani. When Radharani leaves, Krishna will automatically follow. So she is the head of everything. She is the head of how to please Krishna. And she comes in her mercy and she says, the way to give mercy, to the way to most please the Supreme Lord is to chant this holy name of Krishna, because the holy name is not different from Krishna. If we chant Krishna's name, we are with Krishna. And if we dance while chanting with Krishna's name, we are dancing with Krishna. But that being said, there is still a science of how to chant. We've seen that it's not that anyone, oh, Hare Krishna, yes, I'm the same as a gopi. No, that's not true. We've seen that there are at least those 10 offenses against the holy name. We have our 4 regulative principles. But there's even more of a science to it than that. You know, I've been on many Harinams with exalted Vaishnavas across London. On a Saturday night, we have these Maha Harinams. And sometimes on these Maha Harinams, you come across all sorts of intoxicated people. You know, it's a big thing in the UK that people become very intoxicated and they're milling around on the street. And I've even been there with a very exalted devotee. He was chanting and a group of people came. They were dancing, not really understanding, but they weren't also offensive, but they were kind of attracted to the chanting of the holy name. So one very exalted Vaishnava gave this person a mic so she could chant for everyone's benefit. That person was holding a bottle of beer. So she handed the bottle of beer to this exalted Vaishnava. A first exalted Vaishnava wasn't sure whether to take it, but he took it out of his mercy so she might get onto the mic and have some attraction to the chanting of the holy name. And of course, afterwards, she gave the mic back to the Vaishnava and took the bottle of beer or alcohol and then carried on. So we should understand, of course, she is chanting, Krishna is there, but she is not deriving the same benefit as the sannyasi who has traveled all across the world giving Krishna's name to other people. So how to chant, there is still a science to it. And Srila Prabhupada has mentioned in this purport about chanting offenselessly. There are actually 3 different stages of chanting. Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about this. Nam up in Harinam Chintamani. There is Nam Aparad, there is Nam Abhas, and there is Shuddha Nam. Nam Aparad means we're chanting the holy name with offenses. You know, we are chanting it despite knowing these 10 offenses, you know, having some doubts. We're chanting because we want that new car. We're still maintaining our materialistic activities, but then chanting it the same way. We will not uncover, the Lord is still the Lord, but he will not reveal himself fully in his name if we do so. Then there's Namabhas, so that's Namaparat, the offensive chanting. Namabhas, this means the clearing stage. We may have desisted from our sinful activities, but still many desires are there. Many desires are there. These are the after effects of lifetimes and lifetimes of sinful behavior. So we're chanting and still things will come into the mind, some desires are there. And we think, no, I've got to forcibly restrain myself. By chanting in this way, this is sincere. Desires are coming, the things we know to be nonsense, but we say no. As we chant more and more, we will clear this away. Chito darpanam marjanam. We're cleaning the dust of the heart to reflect ourselves as servants of the Lord in the mirror of the heart. And then ultimately we will come to Shuddhanam. Shuddhanam. Shuddhanam means the pure name. Bhaktivinoda Thakur actually says sincere devotees should come to the platform of Shuddhanam within 2 years. 2 years! I've been chanting for over a decade, maybe 2 decades. Shuddhanam. What is the symptom of somebody who is chanting Shuddhanam? Well, Rupa Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, the leader of all other followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave a very famous verse, which is, I do not know how much nectar the 2 syllables Krishna have produced. When the holy names of Krishna are chanted, when the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within the mouth. We then desire many, many mouths. When that name enters into the holes of the ears, we desire many millions of ears. And when the holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, it conquers the activities of the mind, and therefore all senses become inert. So when we are desiring not just to finish our rounds, not we're doing it as a duty, we're doing it because we gave that commitment, but when we are relishing the chanting of the holy name, whether it be on beat, whether it be collectively, then we should know that we're at the stage of Shuddha. And Srila Sanatana Goswami gave a similar verse. All glories to the old blissful holy name of Sri Krishna, which causes the devotees to give up all conventional religious duties, meditation and worship. When somehow or other, uttered even once by a living entity, the holy name awards him liberation. The holy name of Krishna is the highest nectar. It is my very life and my only treasure. So when we see the holy name of the Lord as our only treasure, a treasure so valuable that it is not, the benefits of chanting are not even available to the goddess of treasure herself, Lakshmi. When we see that as our only treasure, then we should know that we are chanting Shuddha Nam, the pure holy name of the Lord. So how to chant? We should move to this Nama Bas, and then gradually we'll be elevated to Shuddha Nam. We should be following we should be avoiding the 10 offenses or 11 offenses, if you include inattentive chanting, along with the 4 regulative principles. And actually, we should also realize that there are a fixed number of rounds that we should chant. The Goswamis themselves set themselves a fixed number of rounds to chant. Srila Prabhupada reduced that to 16. We should aspire to chant, even if we're not chanting 16, at least 4 rounds a day, or 2 rounds a day, even 1 round a day. And we should do a minimum of that number of rounds a day and build up. Actually, Haridas Thakur, who's known as a Namacharya, he chanted 192 rounds in a day, every day. And when he wasn't able to get to 192 rounds, maybe only 100 rounds, he'd say, I am so fallen, I am so fallen. 64 rounds he would chant loudly, 64 rounds he would chant softly, and 64 rounds he would chant in his mind. So again, this is a symptom of one who is clearly at that stage of seeing the holy name as their only treasure and has so much taste. So in conclusion, we can see that the chanting of the holy name is higher even than full transcendental knowledge. Shukadev Goswami is saying that. We can see that beyond just being a dharma, it is a way for us to follow in the greatest devotees of Sri Krishna, who are the gopis. Because the greatest of all gopis, Srimati Radharani, has come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and has said, if you wish to please the Lord as we are pleasing them, please take up this holy name. It is the means of purification. It is the activity most pleasing to the Lord, and it will yield the highest effect. It is the beginning, the middle, and the end of our devotional life. We chant so that we can chant more. However, we should understand that along with the great and tremendous benefits of chanting the holy name, there are also a methodology. Because the holy name is Krishna himself, there is an art of chanting. However, Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself has shown that very quickly, if we are sincere in our chanting, even within a matter of 2 years, we can be chanting Shuddha Nam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Srila, was it Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. So please forgive me, devotees, that was somewhat rushed. I think it's the holy name is a very broad topic, and it was a very long purport, so I tried to get everything in. I hope it didn't seem too jumbled, but please forgive me for rushing that. If there's any comments, corrections, or questions, I'd be happy to hear them now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, are you able to hear me?
I am now, Mataji, yes. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for such a powerful class today. Usually I write notes, but today I was just listening. So I guess I'm training my ears to just listen. And this is how we should all be listening probably to the Harinam without any other thoughts. I open this up for any questions or comments. And before anybody asks their questions, I'd like to invite Vrindavani Lal. Thank you very much for joining our class today. let us welcome with 3 Hari Bols so that we can encourage Vrindavani Lal to join every day at the same time on the same link. Hari Bol! Hari Bol!
Hari Bol!
Thank you very much, everybody. Let us open up to any questions or comments. Are there any questions or comments?
Or corrections as well.
So, Prabhuji, I have a question. I mean, it might seem a very mundane question. So while chanting, we are just supposed to just hear. And I know Srila Prabhupada had mentioned that, I mean, there should not be any thoughts because all you should be doing is just hearing. So, but we do get these thoughts. Is it because we are not hearing what we are saying? Or if you can explain that bit, why does the mind go away? Is it because we are not hearing?
So I'll speak to my personal experience of chanting, because I think sometimes we can become Shastra heavy, and rather than, I think sometimes anecdotal things are important as well. I think when we are absorbed in reading or some kind of mission, I think naturally things will come into our mind. And I don't think that is a disturbance to chanting. We can carry on chanting. I think the idea that we should only focus on our thoughts becomes a thought in itself. And we then start to become overly mental about what is happening, what isn't happening, and it's self-fulfilling. I think that, often it's just a question of the absorption. And if thoughts of Krishna come up, if thoughts of the spiritual master come up, if thoughts of our service come into our mind, these are all connected to Krishna. These are all connecting. These are all pleasing to the Guru Parampara, and these are all pleasing to Nam Prabhu. They will all encourage us to chant more. So I think the idea of thoughtlessness can tend towards this kind of vipassana. When Srila Prabhupada said we should just hear the name of Krishna, the name of Krishna also encompasses, as we've seen, his name, his form, his activities, his pastimes, his nature. So if we are thinking about things which are connected to that, while still continuously chanting, is that not only hearing the holy name of the Lord? Of course, if we're thinking about, a breakfast and this, okay, that's something else. But if it is a service or something directly related to the Lord, then we shouldn't, what's the word? Condemn ourselves for that thing. So again, I think that has been, and often the nectar of the name will then be revealed. If we are too artificial about trying to block everything out apart from just the sound, that is, again, it can be misconstrued. But that is my own personal realization. And I have found that when I've approached the name in that mood, that the taste has built up. As long as I'm chanting I often have Srila Prabhupada chanting in the background, and I clear everything. Don't have my phone, and I do it as early as possible. And I go to a quiet place where there aren't any other distractions. Then allow things just to naturally flow, and you will find that the taste for the name will build over time. Even better, chant in groups of people who are also inspired to chant as well. And that's the other thing I will say. Rather than artificially trying to negate the mind, try and fill the consciousness with the chanting of other people who are also attached. This will naturally put your consciousness into the correct space to receive Nam Prabhu. So have Prabhupada chanting, have devotees who are sincerely chanting in that area, keep all other distractions away, even have a tulsi, and naturally just allow things to flow, allow the name to elevate. The name will do the rest. We don't need to put any construct in. I hope that helps, Mataji. That's my own kind of realization.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Yes, it is reassuring. Thank you so much. I think we have exhausted our time. So Are there any burning questions? Otherwise, I hand over to Path Prema Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Is it possible for you to take over?
Hare Krishna. Yes, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Such a powerful class already Mataji taught. And you are giving very nice points about the importance of the Harinam, how it is the most criminal part of everybody's, all the devotees' life. So as soon as we are, the chanting is a personal reciprocation of Krishna. It's like that. It's chanting just a crying, so that, oh Krishna, please engage me in your service. So whenever we chant more and more and intensely chanting, there is other, like you told, there is nothing supposed to be thinking or no nothing, only it's Krishna and us. So we can release that taste. And so nowadays, you can see all the Acharyas post. First, our duty is 60 round chanting. We are chanting everybody. But now the importance is quality chanting. How much round we are quality chanting, that is more important. If we are 60 round, like just fill the quota, that is not proper. So quality chanting. Now you can see all the Radhanath Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, Jayaprakash Swami Maharaj, all the Acharyas telling, every Sivaram Swami Maharaj also. Every day they are giving importance to quality chanting. Even quality chanting is a 5 round, 6 round, that is the actual. That is the more important. So that is the most important of chanting. And as our new fight devotee, we are here joining. At least we can develop the taste so we can understand. That is the main thing. Thank you, Prabhuji, for your nice class. So importance of chanting. And also thanks all the devotees who are joining here, all this forum. I request everyone, please unmute you and chant Hare Krishna mantra for glorification of His Grace Krishna Arjun Prabhuji. Please join. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai Bacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
ISKCON Eldorets ki
Arjuna ki jai.
Jai.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Very
Krishna.
much. Excellent class.